Single female lead, no harem, no system, aerial world. Do you know what Yin is? In this world, there are 4 major Yin creatures. Ghosts, monsters, demons, and demons. The white-clad women floating in abandoned buildings, the bloodthirsty zombies in ancient tombs in the mountains, and the cannibalistic beasts in the lake. When various Yin creatures appear in the mortal world, they need to be dealt with by Yin humans. And I am the current Yin person. Chapter 1. Regret now. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Now is regret, very regretful. I looked at the man in front of me with a conflicted expression, rolling his eyes and struggling to be tightly tied to the bed, feeling extremely regretful in my heart. Damn it, why did I take this order? Damn it. Zhao Yang, are you a turtle grandson who always finds me a job every day? It's getting harder and harder one by one. I've been unlucky to meet you for 8 lifetimes. Although I keep muttering in my mouth, I dare not stop drawing talismans in my hands. Because I don't know how long the rest of the belts can bind the unfortunate person on the bed who has been flushed by the Yin, I can only speed up the movement of my hands as much as possible. Before long, the exorcism talisman in my hand was drawn again. After completing the exorcism talisman, I dipped some of the previously prepared cinnabar into the wolf hair pen in my hand, and fiercely tapped the man's forehead with cinnabar. Then, I pressed the talisman I had just drawn onto the man's forehead. At the moment when the talisman was pressed, I saw the man struggle, seeming to pause for a moment. Although there was only a momentary pause, the man struggled again afterwards. But it is already evident that the struggle has decreased significantly. Ha! I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw that this exorcism talisman had finally taken effect. God knows how many exorcism talismans this man just used from me. Then I took a step back, tied an inner lion seal in my hand, and began reciting the Vajrasattva descending magic mantra in my mouth. After reciting the Vajrasattva descending magic mantra, I imprinted my hand on the man's forehead. Then his mouth exploded like spring thunder, and he shouted. Those. The move I used is the Tantric Bang Drink technique, which requires the Tantric Great Hand seal to be accompanied by the Taoist 9-character true word to be used. In the 9-character mantra of Taoism, the character Zhe represents restoration, combined with the inner lion seal of esoteric Buddhism and the Vajrasattva descending demon mantra, it can also connect the spiritual power of all things with its own energy field. It is most useful for people who have lost their souls due to being swept away by evil forces. Sure enough, after hearing my bang, the man on the bed no longer struggled, his whole body trembled like lightning, and his body shook like a sieve. Fortunately, the shaking did not last too long. After about 10 breaths, the man stopped trembling and his eyes no longer turned white, but regained clarity. Who are you? Why are you at my house? Where is my wife? After the man regained consciousness, he looked at me with an alert expression, as if he had no memories of rolling his eyes and trying to kill me just now. You have been washed away by Yin, and I was invited by your wife to help you ward off evil spirits. Looking at the wary man in front of me, I could only briefly remind him. Do you remember where you went last night? And how did you get home afterwards? The man frowned when he heard my question. Seemingly recalling. I remember drinking too much last night and walking aimlessly to the abandoned building on the east side of the town. At this point, the man seemed to remember something and his expression began to become somewhat nervous, stuttering as he said. I remember. It seems like I saw a woman in white clothes floating on the ground in that abandoned building. Her hair was long, her face was clean and beautiful, and later. The man frowned when he said this, as if recalling what had happened. I remember later she seemed to smile at me. And then. I didn't know anything. A woman in white. Did you even see her face? After listening to the man's words, my eyebrows furrowed. I shouldn't have used it. If it were just white clothes, I could have used one exorcism talisman to knock her out. But since I started exorcising evil, I have already used 4 or 5 exorcism talismans. And how could white clothes see her face clearly? In our profession, ghosts can be classified into 5 levels. Black clothes, white clothes, red clothes, blood clothes, and blood-clothed ghost kings. Black and white clothes, due to their shallow Taoist practices and insufficient Yin energy, can only barely maintain their own body posture. As for the face, it is either covered with hair or blurred. So, ghosts in black and white are generally unable to see their faces clearly. But judging from what the man said and the situation where I just fought against that evil spirit, the means of this ghost in front of me are obviously not the strength of ordinary white clothes. That little Taoist. Little sir. While contemplating, I heard the man's somewhat uneasy voice. Now that ghost has been driven away by you, right? Can you let go of me? I sigh, my arm suddenly doesn't work. What's going on? I quickly looked up when I heard the man's frightened voice. I saw the man who had already stopped struggling and was just lying in bed honestly. At this moment, the limbs began to struggle again. The man is now looking at his limbs trembling uncontrollably with a frightened expression on his face. I'll go. Seeing this situation, I am also a bit confused about what is going on. In theory, my exorcism talisman combined with the bang drink just now is enough to make white-level ghosts lose their ability to charge and possess. Even if it cannot be completely eliminated, the ghost will lose control of the host's body in a short period of time, giving me time to think of other ways to relieve the charge. But I didn't expect that the white dress in front of me seemed to be playing cards without following the routine. In just a few minutes, she surprisingly regained control of the host's body. I have no doubt that if it weren't for the exorcism talisman I just pasted on the man's forehead, he would have lost consciousness again and been completely manipulated by this white garment. It seems that this time's white clothes may not be comparable to the ordinary white clothes I have cleaned up before. I'm afraid I'll need some strong medicine to deal with this white coat. But I looked at the equipment I brought with a puzzled expression, and saw only a little cinnabar and a few yellow papers for drawing talismans left in the red semi-transparent plastic bag. As for the other magical tools, I haven't brought any of them with me. I turned around to look at the door, but there was still no movement. Zhao Yang, who helped me retrieve the magic tool, doesn't know when he will be back. If I had known earlier, I would have brought my own magical tool. Zhao Yang is unreliable, it's really. I let out a sigh as I thought so. But I can't blame me for not wearing magic tools. Who knew this white dress was so hard? Based on the current situation, the resistance of this white garment to spells is almost on par with that of ordinary red garments. If it's red clothes, based on my current cultivation, it may be difficult to take her away without using magical tools and damaging her soul. Pop pop pop. Be careful, sir. I was thinking about a solution, but I heard several sounds of the belt breaking, accompanied by a man shouting loudly. I looked up and saw that the man had already rushed in front of me. He lifted his hand and tightly grabbed my neck. Sleeping trough. Zhao Yang, can your grandson come back now? Chapter 2. Discussion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The man grabbed my neck, and I had to instinctively break open his hand that was holding my neck. Originally, with the strength of my years of cultivation, even if I didn't use qi to resist, it would be very easy to break open an ordinary person's hand, but at this moment, I dare not forcefully break open the man's hand. Because the Yin energy of ghosts and monsters can mask the host's perception, people who have been washed away by ghosts will not experience pain. That means even if I break this man's arm now, he won't let go. To be honest, the biggest headache for me is this situation. The ghosts and monsters refused to come out of the host's body and only used it to fight against me. Although it's not difficult to get rid of these ordinary people, if I accidentally hurt someone by not controlling my strength properly, not to mention the reward for exorcism and ghost hunting, I would be grateful if I didn't include some medical expenses. After all, I have also suffered losses in this area. Do you remember last time? Alas, forget it. Talking too much is like tears. But now is not the time to say these things either. The hand gripping my neck is getting tighter and tighter, and I now feel a bit difficult to breathe. This is what you forced me to do. I didn't want to hurt the soul of that white-clothed creature, but now it seems that this guy is really going to play with me. The current situation is clearly. If I don't deal with her, she will kill me. I think I haven't lived enough yet, so I'm planning to take it seriously now. Thinking of this, I immediately lowered my heart and activated the qi in my body, reciting the golden light mantra in my mouth. The Xuanzong of heaven and earth is the root of all energy. Guangxiu Yi Jie, prove my divine ability. Dong Hui is well connected. 5 Qi Tingting. Golden light appears quickly. Protect the real person. After reciting the golden light mantra once, a faint, visible layer of golden light appeared on my body. The man in front of me was stunned. At the moment when the golden light appeared, the hand that the man had been holding onto my neck uncontrollably, as if touching boiling water, quickly withdrew. I can even see the black smoke coming out of the man's hands. As soon as the man released his hand, I stepped out and slapped him on the chest. Then he activated qi, wanting to use golden light to directly knock the white garment out of the man's body. With the urge of my breath, the man seemed to have regained some control of his body. He moved his finger and exclaimed in surprise. "I'll go, young man. You're amazing. This is." The man seemed to want to say something to me, but his face suddenly twitched and then showed a fierce expression. At the same time, the energy that I had originally infused into the man's body was also blocked. Along with it came a gloomy aura. Sleeping trough, this white-clothed ox is really amazing. I was really shocked this time. After being slapped by my golden light protector, a mere white-clothed person can still use their own yin energy to block my breath. This is completely unreasonable. You should know that the junior red-clothed creature I dealt with last time at the mass grave lost some of its yin energy after being cursed with a golden light. However, the next scene almost startled my chin. The man who was once again controlled by the ghosts and monsters reached out his hand and casually took off the exorcism talisman pasted on his forehead. And his expression was incredibly relaxed, as if the exorcism talisman had no effect on him at all. After removing the exorcism talisman from her head, the white coat grabbed my hand, which I patted on the man's chest, with its back hand. As I held my hand, a faint green yin energy also emanated from the white-clothed hand. This yin qi constantly collides with the golden light on my body surface, dissipating each other, and surprisingly makes the golden light curse on my body somewhat dim. I'll go. I swallowed a mouthful of saliva and then began to crazily activate the qi in my body to fight against that yin energy. With the movement of my energy, the originally dim golden light on my body began to shine brightly, and even the entire room was illuminated by the golden light. From a distance, I thought there was a more than 100-watt incandescent lamp in this room. I looked at the man in front of me with a guarded expression who had been washed away again, and I also held the seal tightly in my hand, ready for battle. The white dress in front of me is too eerie. In my perception, her energy field at this moment is even stronger than the junior red dress I dealt with at the chaotic burial post before. The qi field in white clothes is even stronger than that in red clothes. I'm afraid even he hasn't seen such a strange situation before. The figure of the grey-robed Taoist came to mind in my mind. If he were there, what would he do in the face of this situation? However, if it were him, this situation would probably be easily resolved, wouldn't it? After all, even the real blood-clothed Ghost King is not enough in his eyes. The grey-robed Taoist is a scholar of heaven and earth, and his cultivation is even more unpredictable. I have been practicing with him in the mountains for several years, but I have only learned 20.3% from him. But he is him, I am me, and at the moment, I can only handle the trouble at hand by my own means. If I had known earlier, I would have brought my magic weapon. I gave a bitter smile and then stared closely at the white dress in front of me, afraid that she would make any other moves. But the white coat seemed to have no intention of taking action, and even the previously fierce expression had returned to calm. Right now, they are just standing quietly against me. At this moment, my right hand is against the man's chest, and the man's hand is gripping my right wrist. We remained motionless in this eerie posture. After a 15-minute confrontation, my energy field has reached its peak. Just as I couldn't hold back and was preparing to take the initiative, another energy field appeared in my perception. However, this familiar energy field is the originally tightly closed window suddenly opened, and a girl in green clothes flipped in from the open window. Lu Daxianer. Seeing Lu Qingqing arrive, I was overjoyed and breathed a sigh of relief in my heart. The arrival of Lu Qingqing has been a huge help to me. Putting aside her own cultivation, as long as she brings magic tools, I have enough confidence to deal with the strange white dress in front of me. Such a strong qi field, is it in red clothes? Lu Qingqing came to my side and asked in a low voice. No, it's in white. But it's only stronger than the red one we dealt with at the mass grave before. I briefly explained to Lu Qingqing and then asked. Have you brought the Qianquan bag? Lu Qingqing nodded and threw the palm-sized brocade pouch in her hand to me. After taking the Qianquan bag, I drew a wooden sword from it. At this moment, with my magic weapon in hand and Lu Qingqing by my side, my confidence was full. So he said to the white-clothed creature in front of him in a wasteful manner. Let's talk about it, how about it? Chapter 3. Conditions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the saying goes, there are different paths for people and ghosts. People have characters used by people, and ghosts naturally have characters used by ghosts. The so-called wasteful writing is the language specifically used in our profession to communicate with the underworld. After death, a person becomes a ghost, and most ghosts have no spiritual intelligence and can only rely on instinct to do things. If ghosts want to cultivate spiritual intelligence, they must at least reach the level of red clothes in order to have the same wisdom as children. If you want to cultivate wisdom that is no less than that of a normal adult, at least you need to be in intermediate red clothes to achieve it. This situation also leads to most ghosts being unable to speak until they reach the level of red clothes. That is to say, in order to communicate with ghosts at the black and white clothing levels, we cultivators can only use waste texts to communicate with them. So, waste writing is also a special, foreign language that all practitioners must learn when they start. Back then, in order to learn wasteful literature well, I didn't miss the guidance of the grey-robed Taoist. However, the fact has proven that the beating was still very worthwhile. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken on so many jobs in the 3 years since I graduated. And isn't it being used again now? What do we have to say? Well, okay. I don't want to hurt you either. If there's anything you need, come out of the other person's body first and let's sit down and talk slowly. I slowly calmed the emotions of the white-clothed creature in front of me with my words, and my tone also slowed down as much as possible. In fact, I have dealt with many ghosts in black and white, and I have become familiar with coaxing them with lower intelligence. But this white coat gives me a completely different feeling. In the past, when I had conversations with other people in white, I usually judged their emotions based on their energy fields and formulated negotiation language accordingly. Although chi fields are different, some are wronged, some are confused, some are angry, some are sad, but at least there are traces to follow. But I couldn't feel any emotional fluctuations from the white-clothed chi field in front of me. Her energy field is like a stagnant pool of water, although vast, without any fluctuations. It is precisely because of this feeling that I speak with extra caution. I'm afraid that one mistake might anger this white-clothed creature. If this white coat really starts making a fuss, although it won't cause any major problems, it will also take me some effort. If you can resolve it peacefully, don't take action. This is what the grey-robed Taoist taught me. I waited for a reply from the white-clothed woman in front of me, but she refused to speak for a long time. I held a wooden sword and stood there waiting for her response. Just as I had been waiting for a long time and couldn't help but want to say something more, I finally saw the man who had been flushed open his mouth. Okay. The man who was flushed out was a man of all sizes, but what he just said was a woman's voice. Although the voice was a bit cold, it was also quite pleasant to listen to. You can imagine a man of 5 or 3 sizes, with arms as thick as Lu Qingqing's calves, but with a woman's voice on his mouth. This scene can be quite eye-catching. But what shocked me was not this, but did she actually speak human language? I just feel that my 10 years of cultivation have been in vain today. The theories in previous books, as well as the experiences that the gray-robed Taoist told me, are all just empty talk. Who can tell me why a white-clothed creature not only has an energy field that is no weaker than a red-clothed creature, but can also speak human words? You. This. I was so shocked that I couldn't even speak, and even Lu Qingqing's face beside me showed a hint of solemnity. It is obvious that she has never seen such a white dress that can speak people's words. But this white dress obviously didn't care about our attitudes. After she said, "Good," I saw several white smoke rising from the man's head. Afterwards, the man collapsed softly to the ground. And after the white smoke emerged from the man's head, it transformed into a woman in white and floated in the air, looking at me with a hint of coolness in her voice. Isn't it necessary to talk? We can talk now. Looking at the white-clothed woman floating in the air in front of me, I swallowed my saliva and restrained my shock before saying to her, "Can you tell me why you wanted to find this man? Does he have a grudge against you?" No. No. The white-clothed man's answer was very straightforward, but I was a bit confused. Since he has no grudges against you, why do you want to attack him? After listening to my question, she didn't answer immediately, but floated quietly in the air. Judging from her appearance, it seems like she is thinking. His mother, he can talk and think. Is this guy really dressed in red with white clothes? I want to leave there. After a while, the sound of the white clothes rang out again. If I don't rush towards him, I can't leave there. Where? Are you saying that abandoned building? I frowned and began to ponder. What Bai Yi said about, there should be the abandoned building that a man accidentally entered after drinking too much. But I occasionally pass by that abandoned building and haven't noticed any abnormalities, have I? I was still pondering, but the white clothes opened their mouths again, and I also restrained my thoughts to listen to her speak. There's a force there that I can't get out of. I can only borrow this person's body to get out. After listening to the words of the woman in white, I also roughly understood why she would rush towards this man's body. The general situation is that there is a force in the abandoned building that can constrain the actions of ghosts and suppress their spiritual intelligence. And she, relying on her instinct to escape from the abandoned building, rushed towards the unlucky body and let the man take her out of that abandoned building. Her intelligence also slowly recovered while charging at this man's body. As for why she has such high spiritual intelligence, and this chi field that is comparable to red clothes, she thinks it may be related to the layout of that abandoned building. She said that although she has been bound by that abandoned building all along, the Yin energy there is exceptionally abundant. She gradually became what she is now, relying solely on her instincts to cultivate her Yin energy every day. Forget it for now. If this family has no grudges against you, then you can come with me and I will reincarnate you. I plan to talk about the unfinished building in the future. The top priority is to take this white coat away first. Sending these ghosts who linger in the mortal world to reincarnate is what I, as a doing person, should do. After listening to my words, the white coat neither said yes nor no, but lowered its head and fell into silence once again. I wasn't in a hurry either. After taking the wooden sword back into my qiankuan bag, I silently waited for her to make a decision. After waiting for a few minutes, she lifted her head and said to me, "I can come with you, but I hope you agree to one condition. Chapter 4. Yin Sha Ming. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After collecting the eerie white coat into the locust tree sign I carried with me, I carried the unconscious man back to the bed. Afterwards, they walked out of the man's room with Lu Qingjing. Xiaoluo, the shopkeeper at my house is now. As soon as Lu Qingjing and I left, the man's wife walked over with a worried expression on her face. It's all right now, I'm sleeping. I patted Lu Qingjing's hand to signal her to go out first, and then reminded the man's wife. Take a good rest for a few days. I need to eat a little light recently. It's better to eat some boiled eggs and millet porridge to nourish my young. Oh, yes, he has just been washed away and his 3 fires are not strong. Don't let him walk at night these days. The rest is nothing. That's good, that's good. Thank you so much. The woman breathed a sigh of relief and then took out a stack of red tickets from her pocket. Thank you for your hard work, Xiaoluo. Could you please click on the previously agreed price? You're welcome. I took the pile of money and then counted 5 more to give back to the woman. The woman looked at the money I handed back and felt a bit puzzled. Didn't we agree on 2,000 before? The estimated price is 2,000, but your husband's matter is not as difficult as I thought. 15,000 is enough. I casually explained and then continued. I'll leave first if there's nothing else. I haven't had dinner tonight, it's so hungry. How about having some food here? No, I have ready-made ones at home. Just take a bite at home. You can go see your husband first, and I won't disturb you. Okay, I won't keep you anymore. I'll see you later. See you later. As I walked out of the room, I saw Lu Qingjing and Zhao Yang waiting for me not far away. Hey Wooden, you done it. How much did you make from this? Seeing me come out, Zhao Yang happily welcomed me. We talked about 2,000 and received 15. As I spoke, I counted 4 more out of that pile of money and handed them to Zhao Yang. Nah, the agreed score is 3 or 7. Are you bullying me for not being good at math? Shouldn't you give me a score of 1537? Last time I went out to eat skewers, you slutty guy owed me over 50 yuan. Do you want to get away with it? Cough. How could it be? I've been sleeping less lately, and my memory is not good. It was a fleeting moment and I forgot. After listening to my words, Zhao Yang scratched his head in frustration and stopped speaking. Well, I don't think you have a good memory. If you have nothing to do, let Uncle Zhao buy you some brain platinum and 6 walnuts to drink and supplement. I casually responded and then turned to Lu Qingjing, saying. I made money today, why don't we go eat hot pot together? I'll save some time washing dishes. I can do anything, you can decide. Lu Qingjing responded with a tone full of helplessness and said to me. I'm talking about you. Can you bring all the magic tools and you go out to pick up work in the future? Do you know how worried I was when I came over? My fault is mainly that Zhao Yang lied about the enemy situation this time. I thought it was just an ordinary white dress, so I went without bringing magic weapons. Be careful next time. I hope so. You should be more careful in the future and never smash the sign of the doing person. Lu Qingjing sighed and took out her phone to start scrolling. Seeing that Lu Qingjing stopped speaking, I looked at Zhao Yang again. Are you going back for dinner or are you going to have hot pot with us? Let's talk about it first. If you're going to have hot pot, you'll have to pay for it yourself. Sleeping trough, I just earned over 1,000 yuan and I'm not willing to treat my brothers to a hot pot meal. Luo Mu, your grandson is too stingy, isn't he? You're not careful when making friends. Zhao Yang looked heartbroken, as if I had done something outrageous by not treating him to hot pot. You give me a hard time. Do you think I'm just like you? I have a black line on my face. You come out with me to make extra money, I'm just making a living. I have to take care of the rent myself. How much money can I have on hand? Speaking of which, I am also quite depressed. I have a special destiny. In the words of the grey-robed Taoist, I am the so-called three-yin evil destiny. People with this type of destiny, from birth to the age of 15, experience a Yin Sha calamity every 5 years, with a total of 3 Yin Sha calamities, hence the name 3 Yin Sha destiny. According to my grandfather, if it weren't for the grey-robed Taoist who happened to pass by my house when I was born, I wouldn't have lived to be 5 years old. The grey-robed Taoist came to my house the year I was born and took me as a named disciple. After leaving behind the method to overcome the first Yin Sha calamity, he left. When he comes back again, I am already 8 years old. At the age of 8, Lu Qingqing and I followed the grey-robed Taoist into the mountains to practice together. After that, we did not go home or contact our families for 10 years. It's not that I don't want to, but that I can't. Although at the age of 15, with the help of the grey-robed Taoist and Lu Qingqing, I successfully overcame the last Yin Sha calamity, the influence of the 3 Yin Sha lives was not limited to that. When the grey-robed Taoist was about to leave, he told me that although I had overcome the Yin Sha calamity, I still had a lot of Yin Sha qi on my body. It takes 3 years for these yin and evil energies to completely dissipate. In these 3 years, I couldn't go home, couldn't see my loved ones, and had as little contact as possible with my family. If there is a slight carelessness, it is possible to transmit the yin and evil energy on the body to close relatives at home. So from the year I graduated at the age of 15, I took over the sign of the doing person from the grey-robed Taoist and then began to live a miserable life with no family to return to. Fortunately, the grey-robed Taoist was really dedicated to me as a cheap disciple. Not only did he help me enroll in Shizigang town, but he also allowed me to study at Shizigang Middle School, and I even specifically found a few clients to help me spread my reputation. Otherwise, just relying on me and Lu Qingqing, these two newcomers, we don't know how long it will take to live a normal life in Shizigang town. So, I am sincerely grateful to the grey-robed Taoist. At the same time, it is also from the bottom of my heart that I feel excruciating pain for this bullshit 3 Yin evil. Fortunately, I finally celebrated my 18th birthday a few days ago and can finally go home. Zhao Yang also remembered my situation at this moment, so he awkwardly coughed and said to me, "Alright, I'll go out as soon as I go out, and I'll definitely get back to my original account later." Zhao Yang said, as if suddenly remembering something, and then asked me, "By the way, the class monitor asked me to ask you, are you going to the party in a few days? Gathering. We just graduated, where do we get together? Let's break up for dinner." Zhao Yang pursed his lips. The class monitor said that after graduation, we will go our separate ways, and the next time we gather may not be a certain time. Therefore, we want to take advantage of the fact that we have just graduated and the class has not yet traveled far, to gather and have a picnic in the mountains. Let's talk more. I looked at the locust tree plaque in my hand and sighed helplessly. Once I have resolved this matter, if there's nothing else, I'll go. Chapter 5. The Old Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah. Isn't this already done? Zhao Yang blinked his eyes. Don't you have any rules? Why don't you just ask for money from others if there's nothing wrong this time? Lu Qingqing was also somewhat surprised. She put down her phone and turned to look at me. The human matter is over, but the ghost matter is not over yet. I put the locust tree sign into my pocket. Let's go eat first and talk while eating later. When I sat down at the hot pot restaurant and ordered a good meal, Zhao Yang directly asked me what was going on and why something was wrong. It's actually nothing, just the white one told me earlier that she can come with me, but I have to help her take her body home. Her family still thinks she's just missing. I handed Zhao Yang a pair of chopsticks and said to him, "I need to trouble Uncle Zhao about this. You can go back and tell him that a female corpse has been built into the load-bearing wall of the first abandoned building on the east side of the town. The woman's name is Wang Shui and she comes to work in the town. Her ID card and other documents are all at number 24 Liuli Road. Let Uncle Zhao and his team investigate directly when the time comes. Zhao Yang's father, Zhao Zicheng, is an old police officer who was also introduced to me by the gray-robed Taoist. He has indeed helped me a lot in the past 3 years. Even the activities that Zhao Yang introduced to me were sometimes intentionally or unintentionally revealed to him and then asked him to tell me. After listening to me, Zhao Yang didn't have any extra words to say. He just nodded and said yes, then continued to compete with the free potato chips on the table. After listening to my words, Lu Qingjing was somewhat surprised and turned to look at me. She asked seriously. What you just said was told to you by that white coat. Don't you think this white coat is too strange? It's very strange. Faced with Lu Qingjing's question, I scratched my head. This white dress is too smart. I feel that her intelligence is almost no different from that of a normal person. In theory, if ghosts want to have such intelligence, they must at least be in an intermediate red dress. But although her chi field is comparable to that of a red dress, she is indeed a serious white dress. I have never seen such a thing before. Qingqing, have you heard of this situation? How could I possibly have heard of it? Lu Qingqing was also very helpless. After I gained spiritual intelligence, I stayed in the mountains until I met you. It wasn't until I met my master that I met him, and then I followed you and my master to practice together. It's true that I don't know as much as you do. By the way, did you ask how that white robe died? I asked, and she said that one night when she drank too much, an old man followed behind and killed her, and finally built her into that building. Old man. Lu Qingjing's eyes lit up. Is it possible that she became like this because of the old man who killed her? This may be possible, but... I frowned and expressed my question. But Qingqing, do you think there will be cultivators stronger than you and me in Shizigang town? No, it should be said that there are more than a dozen towns around here. I don't think so. But maybe not. What if some people like to play the game of hiding in the market? Lu Qingjing took a sip of the juice from the cup, with a hint of sadness in her eyebrows. If that old man really exists, then he may be the evil cultivator that master said. If we provoke him, it will be troublesome. Let's talk about the future. Besides, even if that old man really exists, it should be his concern. I snorted coldly. As a cultivator, how dare you kill ordinary people casually? Do you really believe that people from above eat dry rice? Before I graduated, the gray-robed Taoist had told me not to act recklessly in the outside world just because I am a cultivator. You should know, there are departments above that specialize in dealing with people like us. Of course, if I really dare to do some reckless things based on my cultivation, then I probably don't need the people above me. The gray-robed Taoist himself will have to personally take action and kill me, so as not to ruin the reputation of the Douyin person. That's right. After listening to my words, Lu Qingqing finally stopped worrying about this matter and nodded before focusing on drinking the juice from the cup. As he was speaking, the dishes and meat he had just ordered were all served by the waiter. Because most of what Zhao Yang ordered was meat, and Lu Qingqing didn't have any meat or fish, I was afraid Lu Qingqing wouldn't be able to eat enough, so I specially ordered a vegetable platter for her. After a hot pot meal, the three of us spent a total of 150 to 60 yuan. Due to Zhao Yang drinking a few bottles of beer, he took a taxi and left the hot pot restaurant on his own. Lu Qingqing and I walked slowly towards our rented house. Suddenly, I heard Lu Qingqing whispering. Wait a few days until you finish gathering with your classmates, then you can go home. Yeah. I also have some emotions. It has been 10 years since I left home at the age of 8. During my 7 years of practicing in the mountains, I had some communication with my family. After graduating from the school, it has been a full 3 years since I last contacted them. When you go home, I should also go back to Mount Mu. Lu Qingqing lifted her head and smiled sweetly. Don't mention it, I've been with you for 10 years and suddenly have to part ways. I really can't bear to part ways. Go back to Mount Mu. What are you doing back to Mount Mu? Are you looking for your parents? The Mu mountain mentioned by Lu Qingqing is a mountain behind our village. When my master named me Mu, he also wanted to use the momentum of this Mu mountain to suppress the yin and evil energy in my body. And the first time I met Lu Qingqing was in this Mu mountain. What kind of parents are you looking for? You know, I was born to be raised without a father or mother. Lu Qingqing smiled and then said. I just can't stay at your house all the time if I don't go back to Mount Mu. Why not? I held Lu Qingqing's hand. My grandfather and his team don't know you. Besides, we walked together back then. If I lost you when we went back, then my grandfather wouldn't have beaten me to death. But. Lu Qingqing wanted to say something else, but I interrupted her directly. Don't worry, don't forget. We've been married before, and it was our master who personally certified our marriage. Don't think you'll back out. You don't know that getting married was just a temporary measure to help you get through the Yin and Sha calamity in the beginning. Can you still come up with this? After hearing Lu Qingqing's rebuttal, I curled my lips. I don't care, I'll take it seriously anyway. I'll listen to this matter and go straight to my house when the time comes. I'm talking about you, how come I didn't realize you were such a scoundrel before? If you're a scoundrel, then you'll have to come home with me anyway. I couldn't help but confidently say something, then looked at the cake shop on the roadside and quickly changed the topic. Do you want to eat puffs? Yes. Chapter 6. Evil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Returning to the rental room, Lu Qingqing went to the living room with the newly bought puff to continue watching her play, while I went to the basement with a locust tree sign in white clothes. However, it's more like a cellar than a basement. After all, I just tidied up this place a bit to make it look less dirty. This place is specifically reserved for the ghosts I collect to use, and they usually live in the locust tree sign, so I just need to leave a place for myself to rest. After taking out the locust tree sign from my pocket, I tied a red rope to the hole that had long been left on it, and then stood on a stool to hang it on the wall. Because I only recently removed a portion of the ghosts, there is still plenty of space on the wall now. After hanging this locust tree signboard, I also checked the other locust tree signboards. After confirming that the other locust tree signboards were not damaged, I jumped off the stool, took out a few incense sticks from the altar, lit them, and inserted them into the incense burner. After all, once I take over the signboard of the doing person, I have to do what the doing person should do. I want to send those ghosts who do not want to be reincarnated and are unwilling to be reincarnated. This is one of my responsibilities as a doing person. In the locust tree plaques hanging on this wall, each one carries a ghost that I have collected. Some of them are wandering lonely ghosts nearby, while others are brought back by me after I finish my work. I offer incense to these ghosts twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, until their resentment dissipates and they can be reincarnated. It is also easy to distinguish whether their grievances have dissipated, just look at the red rope tied on the locust tree sign. The red rope on top has completely turned black, indicating that the resentment of the ghosts in the Huaimu card has dissipated and can be reincarnated. I looked at the wooden signs hanging on the wall and found that most of the red ropes on the signs had started to turn black. But if we want to wait until it completely turns black, it will probably take more than 10 days. After finishing this batch, let's go home. After all these years, we can finally go home and take a look. I made up my mind, lit a few more incense candles and placed them on the altar, muttering to the locust tree sign on the wall in a wasteful manner. There are plenty of incense candles, everyone eat more. After you're full, go down and have a good pregnancy. I guess those ghosts also understood what I was saying. The incense and candles that were slowly burning began to burn fiercely after I finished speaking, and a few incense sticks quickly burned to the bottom. I'll go, let's eat slowly, and no one's competing with you. Looking at the scene in front of me, I hurriedly took out a lighter and lit a few incense sticks. Okay, take your time eating, I'll leave first. Seeing that the burning speed of the incense had returned to its original state, I nodded and left the basement. So, has that white-clothed one come out to be confessed? Upon hearing my movements, Lu Qingqing stared at the TV and asked me without looking back. No, I guess I'm not quite used to it yet. I sat next to Lu Qingqing, ignoring her angry gaze, and took the puff box she was holding in her hand and started eating it, vaguely speaking. After spending this batch of ghosts, let's go home. It's like giving us a break. And we've been in this town for 3 years, so we've spent almost all of what we can. Whatever you want, can you dodge first? Don't block me from watching TV. Lu Qingqing grabbed the puff box from my hand with open teeth and claws. When she saw that it was already empty inside, she was so angry that she threw the box aside and said fiercely to me. Didn't you say you don't eat? Every time you say you don't eat, you end up competing with me every time you finish buying. Can I help you eliminate a little bit? This thing is the easiest to gain weight. What if you turn around and blame me for gaining weight? I'm just trying to prevent trouble before it happens. I shrugged and glanced at the TV screen. Why is this drama again? How many times have you watched it? Lu Qingqing watched an online drama called Dian Jiang Lip, which seems to have been released 2 years ago. The plot is a traditional love story between a general and a courtesan. Although it's not a bad drama, it doesn't stand out much. I really don't know why Lu Qingqing likes it so much. I like to see handsome guys, can't I? Look at how handsome Ji Shudu is. Put on that set of general armor, it's so handsome, okay. Lu Qingqing gave me a blank eye. It's much better than looking at your face every day. No, when we talk, why do we still carry personal attacks? I said in frustration. Whether my face looks good or not is also given by my parents. What can I do? Besides, if I have that Ji Shudu's face, what else should I be? I'll just go find a rich woman to take care of her. It has to be said that the male actor named Ji Shudu is really handsome. Even if I were both men, I couldn't blackmail his appearance. After listening to my words, Lu Qingqing nodded and said, indeed, it seems that you still have some self-awareness. Then he continued to stare at the TV screen. Seeing Lu Qingqing's reaction, I felt bored and had to watch this web drama with her. Just looking at it, I suddenly realized something was wrong. Wait a moment, Lu Daxianer, please reverse the scene. What's wrong? Lu Qingqing was a bit puzzled, but she still flipped the TV drama back to the previous scene. Yes, that's right here. On the screen is a close up of the female protagonist's face, while I pointed to her eyes and said to Lu Qingqing. You look at her in the eyes. Eyes. Lu Qingqing leaned her head over and said. I didn't notice anything wrong. Hey. How could there be a fierce aura in her eyes? And it's so strong. Did you find it? I frowned. The ferocity in her eyes is deeply hidden, and if it weren't for this close-up shot, I probably wouldn't have been able to see it either. Who is this actress? Has she had any bad experiences? This kind of ferocious light usually only appears on ghosts who have experienced piercing pain, but the actress is clearly a living person, and this situation is indeed unheard of by me. A bad experience. She. It's unlikely, isn't it? Lu Qingqing also frowned and said to me, as far as I know, this actress's name is Su Xian. You've heard of the Su family in Jicheng, haven't you? She's the second miss of the Su family. When Lu Qingqing said this, I immediately couldn't understand. Although our small and dilapidated place is 108,000 miles away from the developed big city of Jicheng, I have heard of the name of the Su family in Jicheng. Excluding the cultivation families in the world, the influence of this Su family is also ranked high in the entire country of China. Why does such a thing appear in the eyes of a young lady born with a golden key in such a big family? Chapter 7. Double Ghost Spirit. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. This question makes me a bit puzzled, but as a doing person, my intuition makes me feel that there must be something fishy about this matter. Before I graduated, the gray-robed Taoist once reminded me to pay attention to people who have a ferocious aura in their bodies in the future, as they may be my benefactor. And before I saw this actress named Su Xin, I had never encountered any ferocity before. So it seems that maybe that noble person that the gray-robed Taoist referred to is her. But Lu Qingqing clearly saw my thoughts and poured cold water on me directly. What are you thinking? You wouldn't think he was just what Master called a noble person, would you? Let me remind you first. This drama was 2 years ago, maybe he had already found a master to solve it in these 2 years. I can't say for sure. After listening to Lu Qingqing's words, I scratched my head. What Lu Qingqing said is not without reason. After all, since I, a doing person who has just debuted for 3 years, can see Su Xin's abnormality, there should also be other experts who can see it. Besides, as a wealthy and influential family, how could the Su family in Jiqing not know several masters of the cultivation world? Even if they don't know each other, they can still be smashed with money. Whether it is a person in the secular world or a practitioner, as long as they live in this world, they cannot do without those few pieces of silver. To put it bluntly, as long as the money given by the Su family is in place, she can go directly to Taoist mansions such as the Longhu Mountain Baiyin Temple. Even if she can't find the Heavenly Master Temple Master, it's still simple to hire an elder to leave the mountain. Thinking of this, I really feel a bit regretful. If Su Xin is really the right benefactor, and I help her solve this problem, then I will be considered to have connected with the Su family. If I really fell in love with the Su family, I can't guarantee anything else. At least for a long time, I don't have to worry about not having enough money to spend. But the imagination is full, and the reality is bony. I sighed helplessly and said to Lu Qingqing. You're right. Forget it, I'll go wash and sleep, after all, there's everything in my dream. After finishing speaking, I walked to the bathroom, ready to take a hot shower and relax. Taking off my clothes 3 times and 5 times, I opened the shower and enjoyed the rare leisure. Just when I take a shower, I can always feel a fainting energy and an energy field that I have never encountered before. The chi field was very cold, like a venomous snake peeking in the dark, giving people a very uncomfortable feeling. In order to counteract the discomfort caused by this chi field, I also released my own chi field, and quickly wiped off the water on my body, put on a bathrobe, and walked out of the bathroom. After I walked out of the bathroom, I saw Lu Qingqing, who was originally sitting on the sofa watching TV, sitting upright with a faint blue light flashing on her body. It was obvious that she had just sensed the energy field and was now on guard. Seeing me come out, Lu Qingqing said to me, "What's going on? I've never seen this kind of chi field before. Did a foreign cultivator come over to worship the dock after seeing us 2 locals? Worshipping the dock. We are practitioners, not gangsters. Which dock do we worship?" I sneered. Besides, judging from the unfriendly appearance of the visitors, they probably didn't come to pay homage to the dock, but to give us a thumbs up. Just as I was talking to Lu Qingqing, the energy field in my perception became increasingly clear, giving people a feeling of coldness. If the impact of the chi field just now was a small stream, then now it has become a surging river. The surging river rushed towards me as if it was about to engulf me directly. Until now, I have finally confirmed that the owner of this chi field is coming towards me. Otherwise, why doesn't Lu Qingqing look like she's being affected? I cursed inwardly, directly stimulating the chi in my body. I had an outer round mysterious seal on my hand and shouted in my mouth. Do. Immediately after, I stimulated my whole body's energy and directly blocked the inexplicable energy field outside. With the blessing of the Do character formula and the outer circle mysterious seal, the chi on my body suddenly surged. And I also took advantage of this opportunity to directly use the golden light curse, manipulating the golden light to follow the source of the energy field and pursue it. To be honest, I was really a bit annoyed at the time. Using the chi field to suppress others is the simplest and most difficult thing in the realm of cultivation. In the realm of cultivation, there are indeed some giants who can use only the chi field to suppress some people with weak cultivation, making them unable to breathe or move. But this situation only occurs when one party's cultivation can completely crush the other. That is to say, the old pussy who used the chi field to pressure me outside didn't even bother to test my cultivation, and wanted to directly use the chi field to pressure me down. How much does this person look down on me? What is this called? This is a damn shame. Although the grey-robed Taoist often used his chi field to pressure me back then, who is that? That's my mentor who taught me. If I suppress it, I will suppress it. Moreover, I really can't resist the chi field of the grey-robed Taoist. But what character is that old pussy outside who dares to mess with me like this? In terms of chi field alone, the feeling that guy outside gives me is at most a big river. The feeling that the chi field of the grey-robed Taoist gives me can be described as towering like a mountain and vast like a sea. There is absolutely no comparability between the two. He just wants to suppress me with his chi field, as if he's thinking of farting. Don't let me catch you, or I'll have to cut your face into 8 petals. I gritted my teeth and manipulated the golden light, trying to find the person in the dark. But the chi field came and went quickly, and in just a few seconds, it receded like a tide without leaving any trace. You run fast, next time I manipulated the golden light and searched for it, but ultimately couldn't find the source of that energy field. I had to angrily withdraw the golden light. If you want to come and go, do you think this is a public restroom? Just as I was about to give up, I heard a sneer from Lu Qingqing, followed by a strong blue aura, which arrested a ghost doll from outside the window. A stunt doll. You're really cautious. Lu Qingqing threw the struggling substitute ghost doll to me. You can handle it as you please. What else can we do? Send her to reincarnation. I sighed and used my breath to erase the imprint planted on the ghost doll, then put the doll into the locust tree sign. The grey-robed Taoist once mentioned to me about things like the ghostly doll as a substitute. Refining this kind of thing requires the use of ghost babies who died prematurely before the age of 3. First, erase the spiritual intelligence of the ghost infant, and then use yin qi and one's own qi to refine it. After being refined, the cultivator can release a trace of spiritual consciousness to manipulate the ghost doll to do things, as if they have a substitute. That's why it's called a stunt doll. This technique was strictly prohibited by the grey-robed old Taoist, or more precisely, by all righteous practitioners in the realm of practice. I didn't expect that there would be people refining in this small Shizigang town, which really surprised me. Chapter 8. Warning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Due to the excessive insidiousness of this kind of ghost doll, refining it has long been prohibited in the cultivation world. Therefore, the double ghost doll has been extinct for decades. Suddenly encountering something that has been extinct for decades, I feel a hint of unease in my heart. Just now, when erasing the mark on the ghost doll's body, I clearly felt a thought attached to me. Obviously, if that person was just testing me before, so after I destroyed one of his double ghostly spirits, this Liang Zi was completely taken down. Although I have confidence in my cultivation, I used to only deal with some Yin creatures and have limited experience in dealing with others. After all, Shizigang town is located in this remote and impoverished area, and generally no cultivator would be too idle to run here. But in the past, if you didn't come, it would be over. Now, when you come, it's a tough corner. From the perspective of the chi field, the person who just tested me not only had a lower cultivation level than me, but also had more than one advantage over me. Unless there is Lu Qingqing's help, I'm afraid I'm not a match for him, her just by my own means. But Lu Qingqing's current situation is somewhat special. Her cultivation is much stronger than mine, but 3 years ago, when the grey-robed Taoist was helping me overcome the last Yin Sha calamity, she accidentally went wrong, which ultimately led to Lu Qingqing's injury to her original source. She has not been able to fully recover until now. So she can't give her all now, and her ability to fight with people is also limited. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but sigh. Liang Zi is tied up, but it seems that I can't beat him. This is really painful. Don't worry, it's not a big problem. Lu Qingqing clearly saw what I was worried about and walked over to me, saying, "That person's chi field is stronger than yours, but it's not as strong as it can be. If we work together, he shouldn't be an opponent." That's what I said, but we can't always be together. What if we get caught then? After saying these words, I regretted it because I seemed to have forgotten something. Sure enough, after I finished speaking, Lu Qingqing looked at me with a silly expression and said to me, "Are you scared out of your wits? You won't forget the Zimu Yuling curse, will you? I'll know you're in trouble with just one thought. You won't be so useless that I can't even make it over there, will you?" Cough. Indeed. Being stared at by Lu Qingqing like a fool, I felt a bit embarrassed and immediately looked around to say something else. "What's that? It's getting late today, why don't you go back to your room and sleep first?" Lu Qingqing gave me a white glance, then stood up and picked up her phone to go back to her room. Seeing Lu Qingqing closing the room door, I took off my bathrobe and changed into pajamas. After turning off the TV, I lay on the sofa in a daze. This matter should not end well. After all, I don't expect a person who can work hard to refine a substitute ghost doll to be a good gentleman. And right now, I am in the bright and the enemy is in the dark, which makes it even more difficult to deal with. Thinking of this, I can't help but feel a bit restless. Although the grey-robed Taoist told me that once you enter the cultivation world, it means that your life with ordinary people is no longer destined. It's only a matter of time before someone causes trouble. But I didn't expect it to come so early. But if we count it seriously, it seems like I have been graduating for 3 full years, so it seems like I'm not too early. But then again, where did I provoke others? I haven't even been to Shizigang town in the past 3 years, have I? Why did someone suddenly come to trouble me today? I lay on the sofa, lost in thought, and then fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the light and noise of the TV. Didn't I just turn off the TV and sleep? I squinted my eyes and looked at the TV, cursing and cursing, only to find that there was no picture on the TV, but a whole snowflake screen. "Yo, you're playing with flowers with me." I woke up and sat up straight, mocking the TV screen flickering with snowflakes. No one is scared too much. Don't use the ghost's Yin energy to interfere with the TV signal. Let's talk about farting, and I still have to sleep. After I finished speaking, a somewhat hoarse old voice came out from the TV. "Little grandson, the means are not very good, but his mouth is quite powerful." Accompanied by the aging voice, the screen of the TV was no longer the snowflakes from earlier, but a slightly hunched figure slowly appeared. What's the point of an old pussy who runs away at the sight of the wind? Tell me the trick here. Who are you, that little cookie? I sneered at the old man's words. If you don't agree, come out with your real body to practice with the young master. Don't use your double ghost spirit as soon as you come out. What kind of big-tailed wolf are you pretending to be with me if you dare not come out with your real body? However, although I spoke strongly, there was already a faint sweat in my palms. Just now, I had almost figured out what level of substitute ghost spirit was coming this time. Damn it, in red. Still in high-end red clothes. Who can tell me, what exactly is the origin of this old dang? Generally speaking, ordinary double ghost spirits are ghost babies who die prematurely before the age of 3. And since Ghost Baby was still a baby when he died, He didn't have much resentment in his heart and it was easy to refine. But if you were like the old man in front of you, refining a high-level red robe into a substitute ghost spirit would be a bit outrageous. Not to mention that the combat power of advanced red clothes is much stronger than that of ghost babies, simply erasing the consciousness of red clothes is beyond my ability range. With my current cultivation level, I should be able to handle a high-end red dress by myself empty-handed. If I were to take a high-end red dress, I could barely handle it with magic tools. But if I were to erase the consciousness of a high-level red dress without harming its essence, then I could only say damn it, I can't do it. I swallowed a mouthful of saliva and quietly moved my hand towards the Qianquan bag on the coffee table. As long as I get the magic tools inside, I still have the capital to fight against the old man in front of me. My movements were not significant, but the old man directly noticed my movements. The figure that was originally still on TV appeared in front of me in an instant, and he tightly held down my hand that reached towards the Qianquan bag. "Young grandson, are you looking for this?" The old man glanced at the Qianquan bag and said with a smirk on his face. "Do you need to stand out even if you don't have much ability?" As soon as the old man finished speaking, his other hand slapped directly at my chest. I can feel a wave of Yin energy flowing directly into my body through the old man's hand, causing me to sweat profusely in pain. Seeing me lying down on the sofa, the old man stood with his hand down in satisfaction. "I'm giving you a warning this time. Remember, don't get involved in the unfinished building. You can take away that little girl's soul, and I won't need a defective product anyway. But if you break my formation..." "Humph. Then grandpa, I'll take you to light the sky lamp." After speaking, the old man's figure transformed into a black mist that slowly dissipated, leaving only one sentence. "Remember, grandpa, my name is Tai Shushan." Chapter 9. Troubles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stop me. What's wrong with you? At the moment when the black mist disappeared, Lu Qingqing also opened the door and rushed out. But after seeing me lying down on the sofa with a painful expression on her face, Lu Qingqing still abruptly stopped chasing and walked to my side, giving me a burst of energy. With the help of the qi that Lu Qingqing had brought over, I finally forced out the yin qi that the old man had just injected into my body. I lay on the sofa, panting heavily and wiping the cold sweat on my forehead due to pain. Damn it, that old gang of vegetables are playing with me. When did he come in? I didn't even notice his aura just now. As I used my energy to expel the chill that had just been carried by the yin qi, I grinned and asked Lu Qingqing. "Lu Daxian, what's the situation? Why did you take so long to come out? The old man just trapped me in the domain of that double ghost spirit, and it took some effort to come out." Lu Qingqing's face was not very good either. It was obvious that the old man had just made a gesture that made her very unhappy. "Did you break through the realm of advanced red clothes so quickly? Did you not suffer any damage, did you? After reaching a certain level of cultivation, ghosts will have their own domain, which becomes a space of their own. Ordinary people can easily get lost in it if they enter. Therefore, that domain of ghosts also has an easy-to-understand name. Ghosts hitting walls. The stronger the ghost's ability to control the domain, the more dangerous it becomes. Like the high-end red-clothed domain, just now, if I enter, I will have to struggle to come out. Hurt. Even if a domain in red can trap me, he has the ability. If you want me to be injured by just relying on domain, then at least you need a half-step blood coat, right? Lu Qingqing's face softened slightly and asked me. "What happened just now? Tell me about it." "Okay, you go get some glutinous rice first to help me remove the yin poison. I'll talk to you slowly later." Damn it, it hurts me so much. After listening to my words, Lu Qingqing followed suit and stood up to go to the kitchen to get glutinous rice. And I sat up on the sofa, taking off my pajamas, so that Lu Qingqing could come back later and help me remove the vaginal toxin. Not long after, Lu Qingjing brought back a small bowl of glutinous rice, with a piece of red cloth in her other hand. Lu Qingjing grabbed some glutinous rice from the bowl and wrapped it in red cloth, saying to me, "Come here, lie down." "Okay, could you please help Lu Daxian?" When I heard Lu Qingjing call me over, I didn't hesitate and directly rested my head on Lu Qingjing's thigh. Smelling the fragrance of grass and trees on Lu Qingjing's body, my mind calmed down a lot, and even the cold pain in my chest seemed to have eased. However, this sense of stability did not last long because, hiss. Oh. As Lu Qingjing placed the glutinous rice wrapped in red cloth on my chest, I only felt a burning pain coming from my chest, so painful that I screamed out directly. "My grass hurts. Please be gentle, Lu Daxian." Hold on a bit, using glutinous rice to pull out the yin poison is just this feeling. Hold on and it will pass. Lu Qingjing kept moving her hands and even mocked me. "Can't bear this pain anymore. Why are you not as good as those ordinary people who have been washed away by yin things this time? Sister, can we compare here?" I resisted the pain and retorted to Lu Qingjing. When I pulled out the vaginal toxin for them, they didn't even regain consciousness. Even if it hurts, they don't know. I really didn't expect it to hurt so much when I used glutinous rice to extract the yin toxin. After all, I have never tried the feeling of being penetrated by yin qi before, so naturally I don't know what it feels like to remove yin toxin. I didn't expect it. Today, thanks to that old pussy, I finally experienced the sour pleasure of removing yin toxins. Be patient, Xiaomu, be good. Wait for sister to buy you candy later. Lu Qingjing poured out the already blackened glutinous rice and replaced it with a new handful. "Don't forget to tease me. Do you need my sister to help you blow it up?" Okay, if you can't buy sugar later, let me see how I'll handle you." I hummed and closed my eyes, ignoring Lu Qingjing's teasing. But it's obvious that Lu Qingjing doesn't intend to let me go. After listening to my grumbling, Lu Qingjing let out a silver bell-like laughter, and then pressed her hand on the sticky rice bun with a strong force. "Take care of me. Just like you are now, who the hell are we taking care of?" Originally, the sour and refreshing sensation of removing the yin poison from glutinous rice caused me excruciating pain. Now that I was pressed by Lu Qingjing again, I almost burst into tears in pain and instinctively wanted to curse. But after seeing Lu Qingjing's smiley expression, I still chose to endure. You clean me up, Qingjing sister, Lu Daxian. I was wrong, can we take it lightly? Look at your virtue." Lu Qingjing snorted lightly and then threw the black red cloth and glutinous rice in her hand into the trash can. "Alright, give it a try with your energy. There shouldn't be any problem now." I sat up and let qi run in my body for a whole week, feeling that there was no problem. "That's good." Lu Qingjing nodded and then said to me. "Anyway, I can't sleep anymore. Tell me what happened just now." Line. Upon seeing Lu Qingjing inquire, I leaned against the sofa and talked to her about the old man named Tai Shushan. Warning. A dilapidated building. After listening to my account, Lu Qingjing frowned. So it seems that the old man named Tai Shushan just now should be the murderer of Wang Shui. And Wang Shui's appearance is also because of him. I think so. I scratched my hair and said with a headache. I had known I had been tough with that Wang Shui just now, but I didn't expect that something I promised her casually would even provoke such a guy. It's really. As a doing person, if you have promised a ghost, you must fulfill it. This is a rule written by the heavens. If I promise to the ghost but fail to do it, then I will not only face the ghost's revenge, but also accept the punishment of heaven. Simply put, it is being punished by heaven. I can't help but feel a bit dizzy at the thought of this. If I had known that agreeing to Wang Shui casually would have offended that old man named Tai Shushan, then I might have had better confront Wang Shui directly in the first place. Just pick up Ya and send her for reincarnation, and it's her turn to make demands on me. I was unlucky enough to get my uncle's warning tonight. Tai Shushan didn't let me break his formation, but even with his toes, he knew that his formation was definitely inseparable from abandoned buildings. And if I want to take out Wang Shui's body, I must destroy the abandoned building. So I glanced at Lu Qingqing and then helplessly leaned back. It's really troublesome. Chapter 10. Creating a red clothes formation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Uncle Zhao, your movements are really fast. Looking at the load-bearing wall in front of me, which had already been torn apart, I looked tearlessly at the middle-aged man wearing a police uniform next to me. That's necessary. It was specifically stated above that we must unconditionally cooperate with your requirements within a reasonable and legal scope. Zhao Zicheng, who was standing next to me, lit a cigarette, held it in his mouth, and smiled, saying, "Last night when Zhao Yang came home and told me about it, I immediately found someone to criticize it overnight. How about that? Are you satisfied with Zhao Shu? It's so interesting, it would be great if it weren't so interesting this time. What's going on?" "It's okay," I replied weakly and then changed the topic. "Speaking of which, Uncle Zhao, were you able to find someone to criticize you so late yesterday? These staff members are very enthusiastic about their work." "Nonsense, your matter was directly explained by the person in the hall. Who dares not be enthusiastic?" Zhao Zicheng took a hard puff of his cigarette and exhaled a mouthful of smoke. "Speaking of which, what exactly is your master's identity?" "When he called, the one in the hall called. Which Taoist family has such a rough road? To be honest, I also want to know. But my master didn't even tell me his name besides teaching me skills. Where do you think I should go?" I shrugged. "I don't know what he thinks either. The gray-robed Taoist has treated me well. Not only did he save my life and help me overcome the Yin Sha calamity, but he also passed on all my skills. When I was about to leave, I was afraid that it would be inconvenient for me to act in this town, so I deliberately used my own network to ask the public and family here to take care of me more. Having a master like this is truly a blessing that I earned from burning 800 high incense sticks in my previous life." But then again, the gray-robed Taoist, who was so kind to me, refused to tell me his background and real name. When I left, I only left the Qianquan bag and the things inside for me. This makes me a bit confused. But what can be certain is that the gray-robed Taoist will definitely not harm me. By the way, Uncle Zhao, you should try not to come over this abandoned building in the future. This place is not very auspicious, and in case it's aimed at something, everyone will be in trouble. While I was lost in thought, Lu Qingqing, who was standing on the other side of me, spoke. And when I was reminded by Lu Qingqing, I also remembered the purpose of my visit this time, so I agreed. Qingjing is right. Uncle Zhao, when the matter here is over, don't come over to avoid rushing into any shady objects. Don't worry, this place is gloomy. If it weren't for helping you with your affairs, I wouldn't have come. Zhao Zicheng stamped out his cigarette butt and said to me and Lu Qingqing. "All right, we're almost done here. Can't you leave? Do you want me to drive you?" No, Qingqing and I have some things to do here. Uncle Zhao, please leave first." "Okay, I'll leave first. You two should hurry home too, it's almost dark this day." After Zhao Zicheng finished speaking, he got into the car, started the car, and left. Watching Zhao Zicheng leave, Lu Qingqing and I also breathed a sigh of relief. The first purpose of Lu Qingqing and I coming here is naturally to prevent Zhao Zicheng from demolishing the load-bearing wall of the abandoned building. Originally, we had only one purpose, but when we saw that the load-bearing wall had been demolished and Wang Shui's body was taken away by someone, we have a second goal. To make these people leave as soon as possible. After all, it is very likely that there is also a Tai Shushan lurking in the dark. Although it is an unwritten rule in the practice world for practitioners not to take action against ordinary people, Uncle Shen doesn't seem like someone who follows the rules. He dares to do things like refining stunt doubles, ghost spirits, and being a cultivator who attacks ordinary people without reason. He wouldn't care about any rules. What if he suddenly goes crazy and not only wants to mess with me, but also those people like Zhao Zicheng who have disrupted his formation? So, after meeting with Uncle Shen last night, I rushed over today with Lu Qingqing directly. After everyone had finished walking, I grabbed Lu Qingjing's hand and walked into the abandoned building with her. Sure enough, there is so much Yin energy here that it's terrifying. As soon as I entered this abandoned building, I felt goosebumps all over my body, even subconsciously using qi to resist the unique gloomy feeling of Yin qi. The pace slowed down a bit. Uncle Shen said there is a formation he set up here. Judging from this situation, he should have set up a gathering Yin formation, right? It should be, but it seems different from a regular gathering Yin formation. Compared to me, it seems that Lu Qingqing is not affected by those heavy Yin qi. She walked briskly, shook off my hand, reached out her finger to touch the wall that had been demolished into ruins, and then placed it on her nose to smell. These bricks not only have incantations for gathering Yin, but also a smell of resentment. Anger. I was rapidly pondering in my mind the formations taught to me by the gray-robed Taoist. I don't remember which Juyin formation needs to be formed with resentment. That's because this formation is my own unique creation, and it's not a gathering Yin formation either. Before Lu Qingqing could answer me, a hoarse voice that I was somewhat familiar with came over. Little grandson, I didn't go find you, but instead you came over by yourself. Isn't it a Juyin formation? What is that for? I looked at the hunched figure slowly approaching in front of me and asked a question. By the way, I gave a glance to Lu Qingqing. Lu Qingqing understood and leaned directly towards me. To my surprise, Uncle Shen did not immediately take action with us. But he first asked us a question. Little grandson, and that girl, do you know how big the difference is between white and red clothes? White and red clothes. I frowned. The combat power of a beginner's red coat is roughly equivalent to 100 top-level white coats. Why do you ask this? According to the gray-robed Taoist, the difference in combat power between different levels of the Yin object with the character ghost is huge. The combat power of a primary white garment can be equivalent to 10 top-level black garments. The combat power of a basic red garment is almost equivalent to 100 top-level white garments. And a junior blood garment, its combat power is almost equivalent to 1,000 top-level red garments. As for the blood-clothed ghost king behind, then we can only imagine it ourselves. The level difference of the ghost character is considered common knowledge in the cultivation world. Tai Shushan suddenly asked me this question, but it made me lose control. Yeah, the combat power of a red coat is about 100 white coats. That means, out of 100 white coats, only one red coat can emerge. Uncle Shen muttered, and suddenly a ray of semen burst out of his cloudy eyes. What if I could turn all these 100 white clothes into red clothes and still listen to my commands? What? After listening to Tai Shushan's words, I widened my eyes. What do you mean? That's right. Tai Shushan's eyes were full of brilliance. This is the formation I developed to create the red clothes.